Please fight me.
What?
I just heard.
Not you.
I just heard a pun someone made at the start of the thing, and I didn't hear it properly. I just laughed because everyone else laughed. I'm pretty sure at some point someone made a Meghan Cross Stitch joke, and I did.
Yeah, I was like, when I'm around, all stitches are cross stitches.
Yeah, I saw you. I saw your face make noise. Everyone go ha ha ha. I went. I'm just not going to ask and move on.
Lex, in solidarity, I'll say
fantastic.
I also didn't get the joke at first. I thought that Megan was just really into cross-stitching.
I mean, I also am.
I fucking knew it! Game Woven is now proudly part of the One Shot Network. Check out other great podcasts at oneshotpodcast.com.
Hey, heads up to any listeners who might have a fear or phobia of death or memory loss. We talk about both at length for a good chunk of this episode. Starting around the 30-minute mark, we start vaguely alluding to both topics. And then around the 50-minute mark, we go in it, and we're talking about it at length, including a very personal story about death. And it ends around the hour mark or so, give or take a few minutes on all of those. So use your best judgment. Do what you got to do. And I love you very much. Enjoy the show. Hello, Weavers, one and all. If you're listening to this, it's probably that time of year. That's right. It's the holidays, and we're having my favorite holiday of all time, Cross-Stitchmas. Happy Cross-Stitchmas, everyone.
Yes. New holiday confirmed.
I don't know what's going on.
That's okay. A very weavy Cross-Stitchmas to you all.
Can we
And to all,
have
good night, I
scorpion
guess.
eggnog?
What do we leave? Do we leave something out for cross Santa? Cross
Cross
Santa?
Santa?
Cross Stitch?
Cross Santa. On Cross Stitchmas, we trans Santa's gender.
Stitcher claws. Ew, no.
Oh,
ugh.
Stitch.
Yeah.
That sounds like a holiday horror movie.
I'm kind of into it. That's sort of fucked up. Yeah.
Either way, what do you leave out for them so that they bring you gifts?
Traps. You don't want them getting in.
Baja Blast.
Baja Blast.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, happy December, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Blessed Kwanzaa if you're cool like me. And hey, welcome to this episode of Cross Stitch. Howdy, hey. I'm Lex Olden, but you can call me they. And let's go around and meet all the other lovely people in the room. But first, I'm going to start with our cool guest, Megan. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Megan, aka Megan Lynn for the win, aka the official unofficial court composer of Game Weaver. Game Woven, Jesus Christ. It's been a long couple of days.
Hey,
I'm very happy to be here.
Shitpost TTRPG queen.
Yes. Patron saint of shitpost TTRPGs. Four possums in a trench coat.
Occasional
All of whom
erstwhile
use
business
she, her
girl.
pronouns.
We pray
Yeah,
to thee.
official business girl TM. And I'm very excited to be here.
Hell yeah. We love having cool guests on the show.
How long until you make a TTRPG where your two stats are business and girl?
Ooh.
Tomorrow.
Not
mute
very
myself.
long.
And she's reaching for the
20
notepad.
minutes.
By the end of Cross Stitch, Megan will have created a shitpost about being a business girl.
You're on the clock. Your time starts now.
I'm
how
currently
many-
making a game about a goblins trying to win a baking contest, and your two stats are goblin and baker.
Goblins on
Yeah.
fire.
Hey Megan, quick question. How many conversations with you end up becoming game jams accidentally?
Yes.
Enough that I need to stop hanging out with y'all because my list of games that I'm meaning to write are so long, and then I have a single conversation with y'all, and everything gets pushed down one spot on the list.
You say that like
Yeah.
we're
Hey.
a bad influence or something.
Because we
It's
are.
not like we ever complain.
Us?
I've never claimed to be a good influence. People assume that I am, and I'm like, you assume wrong. I've never made such a claim.
Before we lose the plot entirely,
What plot?
let's go around real quick. Let's say howdy to Emily. Hi,
Howdy.
Emily.
Hey, I'm Emily, better known around the internet as was foretold. And I just stumbled over my own usual intro because I was not expecting that. Yeah, you can just... I'm here. I do stuff. Yeah!
Hell yeah. Hey, Bree, what's up? Bree.
I'm Brianna Jean. I do lots of things over at Pseudonym Social and the Graveyard Tapes and Queen City Super. And starting next month, I believe I'm going to have a new show out where my friend JB and I talk about art over an unexpected art lesson.
Ooh.
And I'm also an indie author publishing under Brianna Blythe, L.S. Darren, and soon Jackie Smoke.
The devil works hard, but Bree works harder.
True.
Jackie Smoke?
Jackie Smoke.
Jackie
Graveyard
Smoke is a
Tapes.
great
I wanna have that drink.
Bree should give all of us our own pen names.
True.
Jackie Smoke is also the name of the character I play in the Graveyard Tapes.
It's a good name.
Hey, let's hop on over to Robert.
That's me. Contrary to popular belief, I'm Robert B. Rowling, better known as Rob B. Rowling. They let me out of my little cave to play games with these wonderful people.
Hell yeah. Also, another little funny they. Zad Kiel Vas Kiehoff.
Hey everybody, I'm Zadkiel Vaskyhuff. You can find me on not Twitter anymore, mostly Blue Sky at Zadkiel in Green, Zatkiel in Green. Plotting out arcs, naming episodes. I spent an hour writing about why I decided to title the last episode of this arc how I did over on Blue Sky today. I also do a Digimon podcast with a friend of the show, Big Bees. That's Across the Plains Digiverse. That one's rolling along. And here to Game Woven, my first and best love. Maybe not my first love. Come over to Blue Sky. Leave Twitter.
Don't you mean X, the everything app?
Ew.
No. I mean, leave that. Leave that especially. Twitter's dead.
Leave your ex and come over to Blue Sky.
There we go.
We'll take your residual from that advertisement right now. Damn.
It's like X is the only
Not
thing
sponsored.
I'm comfortable dead naming.
Oh yeah, no. You can dead name corporations like that. It's fine.
Yeah.
Twitter
And-
is dead. They killed it.
Also, our good friend and producer, Tata Banjama.
Hello, I am Tata Banjama. I'm the executive producer of the Game Woman podcast. All the collaborators are called Vasco Hoff. And selecting games upon a
The bits
This-
lasted 8 syllables.
I'm pretty
too
sure
long.
exactly
This-
where the word stopped.
This feels like when you put in a cheat code in like an older video game and it made it 10 times funnier, but it's objectively unplayable.
Unplayable.
Okay, so I'll do it for real this time. Here we go. Hello, Tata Banjama.
You sound like you're just a simple country lawyer, is what sounds
Well,
like
two
happening.
takes Benjamin.
Oh, they call me Titty Benjamin.
No, we
Do
don't.
they?
Who is they?
Some
Me.
of them,
Oh,
Some of whom?
you
them.
know, them,
You know.
they, them.
I mean, at least two.
Most days are here.
That's
So
true. The
which
Game Woman podcast actually has every they.
every they and 90% of them's.
Yes. Now with 10% more than.
Or
Ben, actually say your name. I'm begging.
Oh, yeah. My bad. Hey, I am TT Benjamin. I'm the executive producer of the Game Woven podcast. That's pretty much all I do in the space. I also run the Game Woven Blue Sky account. I do not run the Game Woven Twitter account because I got the fuck off of there. That was depressing. So if you're mad about the posting or lack of posting, or the quality of posting, blame me. It's my fault. I did that. I'm also a designer. Zad and I wrote Adversary, and I'm working on a couple of other projects. I got some new shit coming up eventually. So that is my dealio.
It's
And
good shit.
Friends.
I'm your host, Lex Holden. I already said my name, but I forgot to do any of my shills about anything I do. You can find me at Call Me They at Blue Sky. Also, you can find me at Call Me They at most things at this point. Sometimes there's underscores. Figure it out on your own.
You're an adult. You'll be
a
fine.
designer. I'm a funny little game designer sometimes. I do things here at Game Woven a lot. And that's mostly it. So with that, let's get into. Oh,
Can I? All right, I'm going producer mode really quick. We're throwing this in at the beginning because if you're listening to the cross stitch, that means that you are a fan of the Game Woven podcast, brought to you by Game Woven, which is now also brought to you by the One Shot Network. That's right. During this arc, we joined the One Shot Network, which is very exciting for us, for you, and for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And what better gift can you give to your second or third favorite podcast than subscribing to our Patreon? That's right. For, was it $1.25?
$1.25, I think.
For $1, $2, or $5 a month, you can give us money directly. That computes to approximately 80 cents for each of us per month. You get early access
Love
to
you
those,
forever.
and you get some other cool bonuses. But more importantly, you get to support us. And if you really want to support us, you can hop over to the One Shot Network and you can throw some money at the One Shot Network, where there's a lot of really, really great shows, many of which we would consider progenitors of this very project, particularly the flagship podcast, literally one shots. A lot of our DNA is borrowed from them. So please support us. Please support One Shots. And please support Lex when I actually let them host CrossFit.
To be fair, I did have that planned in the intro and I forgot. I was gonna do a whole thing like, yeah, it's Christmas time, and hey, things that we've done since last Christmas time. I forgot that entirely. So,
What
Also,
about this whole intro? Maybe threw you off your game. I don't understand.
It was a very normal, straightforward intro.
I mean, for us,
very
yes,
The
it was.
best thing you can do for Christmas is support indie creators and go buy my books, you cowards.
You are weak of spirit.
Buy my dice. Don't ask me how. Just message me about it.
Support indie creators, or you will be visited by 3 ghosts.
And not the cool, sexy kind.
Yeah, not the good ones.
They're not nice.
No.
See, I was gonna make a reference to a bit we did before, but I know if I do, y'all will drill it into the ground again.
That's true. We will kill that bit.
We will do that bit, yeah.
Yeah,
We
well,
embrace
You gotta save us. Get us out of this intro.
Okay. Hey, so let's talk about one of the things that we did. Hey, my notes here say we played Sanctuary.
Never heard of it.
What's that?
Oh my god.
What is that?
Game by some loser.
By a
Hey,
big old
that's my
dork.
friend you're
coolest
talking
people
about.
We know.
Hey, according to my notes, we have that loser on the podcast right now.
Hey.
Not
Legend
me.
Legend
Those
has it.
goes.
She's got incredible hair. Very lovely shade of pink.
Honestly,
Best.
this is an audio medium.
And
Zach.
so many shit.
Yes,
posts.
I understand,
Combination
and
of
y'all are
both.
missing
That
out.
is why
It's
it's not
good.
specified.
Listener, imagine like the platonic ideal of like a bright pink highlighter. That's what we're working with.
Sitting in
It's
like a
real
really
fun.
subdued pink sweater in front of a very
Like those
happy
board games
in
in
a-
a really
yeah,
brutal.
In a metal font with
And
like a birdhouse on
a
it.
pink gamer chair with pink bunny ears. Like
the
that's
bunny
how
ears have been
pink we're
sending
talking
me.
Wait,
here.
can you
Oh,
hold up the
goddamn
shirt
night.
again?
Oh, it's a planchette.
Yeah.
It's a plan shot.
Screenshot. Okay, cool. We did it.
Okay.
Clipped.
So we used Megan's lovely, cool game Sanctuary to make a sanctuary, and let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So Megan, you were actually here with us on that episode, and if I remember correctly, that was your first time recording on Game Woven as a guest.
It was very fun. It felt like forever coming. Like it was a very long time coming because we had
Mm-hmm.
talked about it like when Sanctuary's being kickstarted 85 years ago.
Yeah.
So I've been looking forward to it for a very long time, and it was
Yeah.
very exciting. First time, obviously not last because I'm here. However,
How did we play the game right? You have to tell us if we played the game right. Did we do
True,
good?
yeah.
Did we do a good job? Are you proud of us? Tell us you're proud of us.
I'm very proud.
Thank you.
Very proud. Your father, who is also me, and I are very proud of you. You did a good job.
If I remember correctly, we were missing someone for the episode. We
Rob.
were missing Rob.
Rob
So
said
Rob-
it out.
Yeah.
Did you ever go back and listen to those and see what
Yeah.
happened?
I
So
had a
from
really-
an outsider perspective, how did it go?
I really loved it. As someone who really likes a little bit of just kind of eldritch horror sprinkled into things, I really enjoyed the juxtaposition, which feels very thanks to the wonderful maybe.
Mhm.
I do want to ask Megan, like, in terms of when you start to write games, do you feel like when you start to make games, is it a lot of like, man, I wish people made games like this, or is it more like based on your own inspiration? You know?
A little of A and B, but I'd say it's mostly like when inspiration strikes and then I just kind of like jump in the stream and let it carry me. But I think the reason I started writing games like in the first place a million years ago when I first started writing games is like the first game I wrote was like, why isn't there a game like this? And then I was like, oh, well, I could just like make a game like this exist. So that there's always an essence of that in all of my games, but really when I sit down to write a game, it's like I either want people to look at it and go, damn it, Megan, like why did you do this? Through laughter, or damn it, Megan, why did you do this through tears? One or the other. And I started Sanctuary and I'm like, I'm gonna write a sad game. I'm gonna write a really sad game. And everyone who plays it will thank me for the sadness.
This is true.
Yeah, you know, I've played a lot of games sort of in the style where you use the cards for the prompts and then you have sort of the closeout bits. And I think Sanctuary is unique in that the closeout bits are actually like a third of the game
Yeah.
is the very last prompt. And also, every single one of them is devastating. It's. I think that, I think you sort of established that you don't want to get showered with compliments, but I think the biggest. I know I'm gonna fail here. The biggest thing that I can say is that like the way that you shoot the gap between leaving endings open-ended enough that people can talk about them, but also how they do drive towards a definitive conclusion is astonishing work and really hard to pull off.
Yeah,
Well-
it's speaking as someone who likes to write stories for fun and hopefully one day for a living, like setting something up so it ends in a way that is both like satisfying, ties things together, but also leaves room for the audience to piece together, like get what they want or what they need from the story is really cool. And I can't imagine how much time and skill it would take to do that within a game.
Well, and 20 times, like 26
Yeah.
times you've got for ending prompts.
And it's not like this is a one-off. You pull that off every goddamn time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think with Sanctuary, because I wrote it second, but it's the first in the duology, like, I knew where I kind of reverse engineered it because I knew where it needed to end. And then it becomes, how do I lay the groundwork so that I can get players to where it has to end? Because that is the conceit of the game, is that it ends here with this action that kicks off the next game. But
And
I think
that's
actually really thematically appropriate for the arc we did.
yes.
Because the whole
Yeah.
thing was a year and a half ago, we decided how something would end. And we were just like, okay. And how do we do
Bridge
that?
comes back.
yeah.
How do we do that?
So just to talk about that, like, thing being able to lead on to thing in that really satisfying way. I did my cross stitch with Weeds in the Waste, which is a completely separate game that I also recommend. It's that one's a little bit more like reflective and thoughtful as opposed to world building. But like having like a defined period of time, also going in knowing that the kid was going to be rejoining society eventually. But then like that was a really fun endpoint. And I started and haven't had time to finish a run of Sentinel, the sequel game to Sanctuary, with that character as like kind of taking place in those years after the after the canal, or as the canal is getting dug, taking the water down from the Sanctuary to Nairburn, the city close to it, and to like having that open-endedness, having that because like Weeds is so heavily mired in the loss of that one. Like we had that prompt about the first person who gets assassinated by the, I forget exactly what you call it, the opposition, by the I guess in our case
The inscrutable.
Yeah. And having that to work with, having that like there is this profound loss, not just of an entire community, but of this one person that the kid was really invested in, and also like that plus figuring out that she's trans is basically the entire point of that story. And so it's yeah, to your point of like generating tragedy with an objective in mind, is, and like knowing that you wrote Sanctuary after Sentinel makes a lot of sense in retrospect.
So we use Sanctuary as the starting point for the bridge arc as a whole, which like we were saying, the whole point was we had an ending, we had to get there. And we set up a magical bridge that teleported around, and we had no idea where it had been. So Sanctuary we used as the first stopping point, and we created what was the name of that sanctuary?
Nairburn.
Well, the settlement.
The
was
city is
Nairburn.
Nairburn, but the sanctuary is just
The sanctuary, I think, was
the
just
sanctuary.
the sanctuary.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
just the sanctuary.
It's just like the Nairburn sanctuary, but like that's it.
And I like
Sanctuary of the Barockway.
Mhm.
Nairburns a good town.
Yeah, we came up with a lot of stuff that I hope continue to stay in the lore. And if not, I won't force it in, but I'll be sad whenever I can. We have magic fish, y'all.
True.
Mhm.
Oh, I love
Love
putting
that.
Barockway anywhere.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I was so sad that we made such a cool like order, and we had to have most of them die in the end.
So
I was really
The
like,
sheer number
That's the
of
game,
times-
baby.
Yeah.
The sheer number of times in real life, I still say "go eat a fish" about it.
About it.
That was
Yeah,
really
it's
fun.
It's just
to
part
get
of my lexicon.
in the group chat as the one person who wasn't in the game, just getting that in the group chat in response to things and not knowing what that was until after hearing the episodes. That was fun.
It's going to stick with me, like certain reactions I picked up in marching band, like whenever
Mhm.
something gets knocked over saying whoosh.
No, I think the best thing that's been ingrained in me was I went to a summer camp, and for some reason we all got the thing. If someone knocked a chair over in like the cafeteria where like it would echo really loudly, we'd all just start clapping.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Standard
And now,
cafeteria
when
behavior.
someone knocks something over, I'm really tempted just to start.
If you do that in a restaurant, like a real restaurant, all of the serving staff will hate you forever. We established a shit ton
Yeah,
in
we did.
Nairburn.
Yeah.
And okay, so the Verrocqui is I latched onto that. Like I am attached to the Verrocqui like a fucking lamprey. Like that
I
is
love the Verrocqui.
on the level of a brazen to me. Like that's how high quality the Verrocqui are. And to my mind, like yeah, we killed them in Nairburn, but then because it's cross stitch, so you've listened to the entire arc so far. So
Presumably.
I can just do all sorts of stuff.
But also, this is a recap, so we can say
Right.
whatever.
We killed the executors.
We killed the executors. We didn't
Yes,
kill
we
the
did.
Verrocqui.
Verrocqui.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I was going right there, baby.
Yep.
The
Because,
conch,
like,
the conch is still there, and we established that the goddamn Blood River is also charged with memories.
We
So
did do that.
it is not unreasonable that we can still have Verrocqui.
True.
Yeah.
I
Now-
think it's
Oh, what kind of fish are in the Blood River?
Just normal
Whoa.
ass fish. We
Yeah.
call it the Blood River because they're dicks.
vampires.
Well,
Um,
we don't call it the Blood River because the river doesn't have a name.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we just called it the Blood River just now for the first time, actually. We referred
Well-
to an area as the Blood River
Blood
Bend,
River Bend.
but we never called the
Okay.
river the Blood
Right.
River.
Right. That's fair. You're right. That is well, then we should, to be grammatically appropriate, then it should have been called the Bloody River Bend.
True.
No.
But it
Well,
doesn't sound as good.
Fine.
Yeah, it doesn't ring the same.
A running thing I've had to do in Game Woven is sometimes we name something a completely inaccurate name, and I go, but it sounds so much better. I
Mhm.
let it go.
Yeah, because Brazen.
Dick,
Absolutely
though.
should not be
Brass.
called Brazen.
No,
Right?
that's true.
Like-
Oh yeah. Rule
Yeah,
of cool
whoops.
supersedes.
Yeah,
Really
brazen
cool,
is not
baby.
bronze. It is related to brass. So something made of brass is brazen. However, because we are world building, we can just say that things made of bronze are brazen.
Brass
And
isn't
things made
real,
of-
actually.
Yeah,
And
we just
nobody
don't.
can stop
Damn
you.
it. No,
Yeah.
no, we can't. Because I've got a whole thing about metallurgy and talking
God damn
about how
Damn,
The-
crazy.
because no, it is the like zinc is an agent of order, and when you add that to bronze, because that's why
One metallurgic rant later.
To get different sonic properties.
Okay.
Speaking of Sonic, Megan, I don't know how much you play with world building games, but I know Game Woven is like a very, for me at least, it's a very like unique kind of experience having so much like you say a thing and now it's just fact that we have to like think about forever. Can you speak to like what that is like as someone, because like obviously we've been doing it for a while now. What was that like hopping in?
I mean, I love it because as a designer, I tend to, I'd say a great majority of my games are world building esque games or world building heavy games. So like it's my entire jam. So getting to like jump in and be like, oh, this is somebody else's world that they've been building and they've been playing, and now I get to come play too, and then things that I say then become real. So kind of had like a nice voice of God quality to it, which was nice. But it's just y'all vibrate on the same wavelength that I vibrate on, and it just rocks because I'm like, I just want to make worlds and use a lot of games to play one game.
So what you're saying is you want to
So
make a world one game at a time.
Wait a minute.
They said the thing.
Oh,
I feel like
that's
systems
good.
and-
You should market that.
Slap
What
that
is
one on the
that?
episode.
That's
Damn.
Sounds like
Like,
we
yeah,
did that.
I'm a huge fan of anthology play. Like, I played. I was in a campaign that was like an anthology. It was technically Monster of the Week, but it was like we ended up playing like 8 or 9 different games,
Hell
like
yeah.
interspersed between sessions of Monster of the Week. And I've been obsessed with anthology play since then. And not enough people are doing it.
I think
like
it's the new
such
hotness.
a cool thing.
I think in
So-
4 years, everyone's going to be doing it.
Yeah, like
So,
it's so good.
side thing. I'm just gonna define an anthology real quick because recently, multiple people have told me they don't know what an anthology is.
Oh, word. Okay.
Yeah,
I
go
was
for
very
it.
surprised. But it means we're basically telling a story out of order.
Oh.
That's the long and short of it. There's a more succinct definition.
But there is,
Yeah.
and once again, we're diving in on a tangent here, but that there is an argument to be made that anthology play in TTRPG could not necessarily mean that it's out of order, but rather that it's different games every time.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Sorry,
'Cause I don't know
wanted to say
We,
We could
We
do
do
some
a little
research and
bit of
figure out a new
both.
The
word.
story is linear. However, it is not the same medium. Like you're
Right.
not using the same medium.
Like the early Witcher
found some.
collections, like the early
Mm.
Witcher books are collections of short stories, are anthology, as opposed to like, I think the last 3 are where they become novels, and worse. But
True.
when it's like that sort of just like dinking around by creating stuff that has its own bespoke beginning, middle, and end, and they're all like within relation to each other.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just like it feels good to finish things.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like I'm someone who both as a designer and a player loves what I just call I think I've started calling them short form TTRPGs, but I
Mhm.
previously would just call them one shot TTRPGs. But it's like
Bite-size.
yeah, but like I write short form games and I love short form games. So but if you want to play something that's longer, you just stack a bunch of them on top of each other.
Right?
And then you've got a campaign.
If you get enough of an amuse bouche, you
Yeah,
get a me-
like it's like I think of it as it's episodes of a TV show. It's like the same
Mhm.
characters,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
you're telling encapsulated
like-
stories.
Yeah,
But it's
and
like one of those TV series where like you change the animators or the directors every single episode.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So you get sort of
Yeah.
different takes. Yeah.
Also, I have been sitting here thinking of what the term for this kind of thing would be with games, and I unfortunately did come to asynchronous episodic ludo narrative, and I hate that.
That's a
Oh, I
lot
need
of
to go
work.
stare.
Yay.
I need to go stare at the wall for a few minutes.
Asynchronous
narrative.
episodic ludo narrative.
But-
I can't
I
even
don't
make that into a
exactly roll
band
off-
name.
Alien.
That's Twitter talk.
That's my neutral Milk Hotel cover band.
Now, that being said, this is technically an anthology series because each arc sort of does represent its own timeline,
Correct.
and all of the timelines are happening concurrently on against the central timeline. So, like,
Speaking of the timeline,
oh yeah,
we should move forward in the timeline a little bit.
No, only
Wait, well,
talk about my thing.
I actually am, because we have a guest, and
Yeah.
also because Nairburn is so thick,
It is.
I
so
am actually
big,
interested
bro.
in talking a little bit more about what we did in Sanctuary, some of the things that we established, because we set up a lot.
I love the Inscrutable. They are my personal nightmare. If you haven't noticed, that's the thing I keep putting into game mode. My personal little nightmares. Just
That's fine. It's okay. That's what it's for.
My
I
personal
love about the
nightmare is my
Inscrutable-
band name.
What I love about the Inscrutable is that we also, unless we choose to bring them back, we did destroy them. So now the Inscrutable is not just a villain, they're a mystery villain from the past that we can sort of explore and retcon that we have really not done a lot of that.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
this
Well-
giant gap of
And it
this
can almost
horrible
func-
entity.
I say it could almost function in a way as like an urban legend.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, enough
Yeah.
We know
time
that
has
they were.
passed,
It's like like we know they were real.
and enough time has passed since the bridge was there that they've probably fallen into myth, like
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
We're talking
And-
centuries.
What we
Yeah.
need is a game called Rogues Gallery, and we just make villain lore.
I dig it.
That's-
And Megan's
that's
reaching for her notebook.
Uh,
Damn it. Lex, you just pushed Business Girl TTRPG down a step.
Business girl won't take long.
We will all help you with Rogues Gallery, Megan. I swear to
Absolutely.
God.
Absolutely.
I have some semblance of a game. I've been working on a villain creation game that
We are in the presence of genius. Oh my god!
I'm
if
at
you
a
need some neat
part where
artwork,
I
let me know.
can't
I
crack
feel
it.
like Salieri, and here's Mozart, and
but it's called I villain, villain.
Perfect.
Is there anything we're forgetting that we established in Airburn?
We established the executors who receive visions, and when the visions come true, they die.
Yes, we did.
And one important observation that I wanted to make, kind of while we launch into the larger cross stitch, is that there's sort of a magic to the way Game Woven has fallen into place, in that we stumbled upon a couple of really important central themes that carried us through the arc. We did not, I cannot emphasize how little we put our fingers on the scale.
Yep.
For this. And the two really important themes that we landed on for this arc were the importance of death and the power of memory, and more importantly, how it persists.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that is all encapsulated. The concept of the executor is the seed from which that sprouted, because the executor is the person who goes into the waters, takes the fish, slaughters it ritualistically, and then eats it to receive a vision. And then when that vision comes true, the executor passes. That is the end of that person.
Well, and then they cannot die until they execute on that vision, which is you are suspended from the usual cycle of life and death until you have accomplished your work, and then purpose is a sub-theme running through the bridge, and devotion to DeGale that gets brought up a couple of times. So that's, but this, in that first one, that idea of kind of memory, which I think, Megan, you called that out explicitly as something that you wanted to play with within that idea of water. That became huge, but that and expertise and purpose are really kind of the cores of where we started here.
Yeah, and oh, go ahead, Bree.
It turned into a theme, I noticed, unintentionally, perhaps, where in every place we stopped, there's something about the water that was extremely important to the place, and there was so much of knowledge and memory carried in water. And I think we've been building towards there being something special about the water since the first time we created Zala, when the river just stopped that one time. And then it came back and it flooded everything. So you chose that on a whim, and it ended up playing so well into things, and makes me, I just want to figure out why. Why was it decided? Why did it end up to where all the knowledge and memories and stuff were kept in the water?
I think we all have something to say on this. Okay, so everyone take your notes down, and we'll all take turns. No, seriously, I'm not even kidding. Yeah. Everyone, gather your thoughts, and we're all going to take turns. Who wants to go first?
I've got something that works on a higher level. A conversation that I was having with some people in a Discord server about why we create art, and somebody was saying I'm making things without some higher purpose in mind. I'm just I do these things because they're funny and entertaining. And the way that I pushed back on it, that I caught a little flack for, I was being a little bit of an ass about it, but is the way that I like to think of it is we are conditioned and primed, and we communicate through metaphors, whether we mean to or not. The deeper meanings and the ways that these things fit together, it's all, the way I described it at the time is, it's in the soup. Even if you don't think the soup is that deep, or just because you can't see the bottom of the soup doesn't mean that the soup isn't deep. And so yeah, in terms of when you ask the question okay, so why is water important? this is it's a question that you can, and in my opinion should, or could, if it's important to you and it's important to me, you should examine that on a couple of different levels. And one of them is like, okay, narratively, why is the water important? But to me, if you want to get a good, satisfying answer as to why the water is important within the fiction, thinking about what is water doing? Why are we drawn to water? Why have we, on accident, by following some prompts, stumbled upon and remain interested in water as individuals, as people who are making a piece of art? And again, Megan, like you were talking about, like, I can remember you saying like, oh, I'm a water sign. And I like to, you also said that you've been thinking about memory a lot. And I suspect that there are personal reasons that that's on your mind. It's not something you have to talk about, but like that idea came from a place, and yeah, sure, we followed it up with prompts. And there's a lot of stuff that we've pulled at and come across by accident. And honestly, like, why are we so fixated on water? Well, because a year and a half ago, we decided to tell this story about a fucking bridge, and bridges have to be over water. So that's kind of the thing that happened. And all of that is in the soup. And it's kind of our responsibility to start dipping back into the soup and drawing out the interesting ideas, pulling the cool stuff that is in there, whether we intend for it to be or not, whether we're making it up, whether those connections exist. As soon as we say that those connections exist, they simply do. And so, like, it just, like, it matters because it does, and because we care about it. And like, that's honestly, to get to that point is why I wanted to go first, because the conversation that we have after this and the way that we analyze the work that we have been putting out, and we start thinking about, okay, well, what do we do next? What do we do with the thing that we've created? It is a process of criticism and exploration and the creation of meaning, especially as we think about resistance to imperial oppression, especially in light of recent events. Thinking about taking the context of what we have made in the past, the tools that we have given ourselves, and how do we leverage and utilize those tools in order to create ideas about freeing ourselves from the bullshit that's going on, is going to be the project. Maybe not necessarily for the next arc, but by the time we hit Council of Grey, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing that in the context of 2 years into another fucking Trump administration. But right now, what we know is that history is very important to us. The past can tell us things. We can draw power from the past. Meaning is worth dedicating your life to. And we draw a lot of strength from our environment, as we're going to see kind of as we're moving through here, and from our past, and from the community and the people around us in the natural world. And those are our sources of strength. So that's in the soup, and that's what we're doing.
So new rule, Zad never gets to go first again.
I have a thought to kind of build off of that, because like we associated water with memory, water with the ability to, like, in the place Tarsig where the water was super polluted, a lot of people were restricted, they were very oppressed. There was water that would give knowledge, water that would share memory. We need water to survive. That's just a fact. Human beings, we need water to survive, and we also need stories.
Yes. It is taking on. It is taking in a space that is metaphoric. People will say like magic and stories is a metaphor for the ability to enact change on the world, and we have invested a lot of that energy into water.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a thing that we did, and now we have to live with it.
Yeah. And,
And
like,
go for it, Megan.
like where I was at, I think when it said like, oh, I've been thinking a lot about water and I've been thinking a lot about memories. Like, yes, I'm a water sign. I'm a water sign 3 times over. And I grew up on the coast. Like, I grew up near the water, and there's something that when I think of when the first thing when I think about like water and memory is that something about being near the ocean specifically, but really any water, like makes me feel like a truer me, for lack of sounding like kind of weird about it. But like, there's something about like the ocean remembers who I am when I don't know who I am, and you go back to that water and it knows you. And that's kind of like when I think about like water holding memories, is just like how I always feel the same way when I'm near the water.
God,
No matter
fucking
what's
write that
going on.
down. That was such a
Megan?
good line.
Did you just say the phrase "the ocean remembers who I am" when I don't know who I am? Did you just say that with
Jesus.
your mouth?
Ben, you can't
How
get
else do you
made
say
every
things,
4
Ben?
seconds, okay?
Well, then we brought the wrong
That-
guest on.
Just bangers all day.
Yeah. And that's so
Whoa!
true too, because like the amount of time, like pretty much whenever we go to the beach, like I don't care about swimming or anything like that,
Mhm.
but I just like to walk.
Mm.
Just
Yeah.
walk with the water up to my
Like-
ankles. Just I get to think. I get to like figure
Yeah,
things
like, it just
out.
settles. It just settles something. And like,
Mhm.
the ocean's not calm. Like, the ocean
No.
is turbulent, but there's a calmness that comes with it. And I just really fucking love water.
I love the ocean and I love mountains specifically because they make me feel as small as I actually am. They
Yes.
shrink my entire
Absolutely.
world down.
Staring up at the stars.
and that's
Yeah, the power
like-
of it.
and to me that's really like, I know that it's scary to think about how small you are in the midst of everything, but there's something so comforting about being reminded how small you are,
Yeah,
that every giant problem isn't so giant, and it's a comfort in a certain point to be like, it's okay, like, you're just one small piece of everything.
Oh,
And and I just getting to bring that in and be like, what does that mean in the context of this world, and what does that mean to the people who live in this water that is holding the memories of that nobody else remembers anymore? Like, who are these people that the water remembers when
Mhm.
nobody else does, and how does it keep them alive?
Also, the fact that, like, yes, we may be tiny, but you drop a pebble in a body of water, there's an impact, there's a ripple, and that can add up.
Yeah,
You
and
may be small, but you matter.
oh, yeah. And on like the more logical side of things, like this is definitely more of a boring reason why we focus on water so much.
nah.
But we keep talking about places, and in human history, whenever a new place becomes
Mhm.
successful and people gather there, it's because water's there.
It's water.
Right.
Water is life.
Yeah.
You need it to not die, as Bree
Yes.
mentioned earlier. So we keep writing about things beginning, and also things ending.
Mhm.
But we talk about beginnings a lot, and so water is just part of that, metaphorically and literally.
Mhm.
Like a lot of our things are a metaphor for like the life cycle, you know, like birth, life, death. Like we do that a lot. Because as Ben mentioned, or was it Zad? No, I was remembering Zad keeping track on their fingers as Ben said this. One of the themes is death, along with memory. And like, that reminds me of that quote, men die twice. You know, the first time is when you're buried. The second time is when you're forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like really encapsulating that that mentality. And ultimately what we're doing is we're following every time we name a character, we're talking about those who get to experience immortality in our setting because of the ones that will be remembered.
Right.
Yeah. As a person who bailed but was like on track in chemistry, like water acts really weird compared to a lot of different things, and the reason is because it connects to itself, right? Like it chains on itself and like attracts itself to itself, and that makes it act in a way that not a lot of other things do in a really important way. And that idea of like it's all like that cyclical of like water is really important at the fundamental level. It's just each individual tiny piece is unimportant, but they're inextricably linked to all the other unimportant tiny pieces, and together that makes it act in a like life and world changing way. And like the waves of the ocean, right? That one wave that hits, it's never gonna hit that wave is never gonna hit the same way or with all those same molecules of water, but each of those individual molecules of water will probably at some point hit that beach at the same place at some point, but it'll be with completely different molecules of water in different places. And while everyone was talking, my mind was thinking about like how rivers are formed and form the land around it, and the parallels that has with like game design, like the rules and text of the game impacts the stories we'll tell, right? Like one thing I will say about every game you write, Megan, is it puts me in like a very particular like headspace and mood in a way that sometimes reading through rules doesn't. Like sometimes like cool, I'm reading mechanics of a game and I'm understanding how to play, but a lot of times when I read your games it's like, no, okay, I'm like imagining what kind of like world space or headspace the like characters that will be in this game are in, right? Like a little more transportative, and I think that comes through a lot with your writing. And the idea of like that is the canyon that our river is running through of the story, but that also then shapes the game as it is shaped, right? That symbolism and give and take.
I'm actually really bad at that, connecting it to themes of games until I'm playing. I'll very much read the mechanics and go, I don't get it. And then by the time I'm playing, I'm like, oh.
I'm a little like that too. It took me some time to get to that point where I could like read and also sort of rock it.
Yeah.
I want to rewind it. So I'm gonna reel it all the way back to the Executors, and sort of my idea of the Executors as the seed that grows into some of the themes for the rest of the arc. And I was talking about memory, and I was talking about the importance of death. And I didn't just say the theme is death. The theme is the importance of death.
Yes.
It's like that is important. Because if we think about the opposition, the antagonists of the story, it is an empire made of undead who does not want to die and claims that it has always existed and is therefore beyond death. Whereas we have themes running through this arc and also just the whole show of death. People dying, and it's sad, but it's okay. But the Executors are perfect because this is someone who has control over the exact conditions of their death, more or less. Now, you could say that a fate god could step in and be like, haha, you tried to avoid the conditions of your death, and it caused the conditions of your death. But I think it's, the classic fairy tale thing. But I think it's more interesting if they can actually avoid it until they decide to actually go in and do it. Knowing that they are going to die. No, like the executor knows that, all right, if I do this sequence of events, it's going to kick off a chain reaction, and that is going to cause my death. But this has to happen. And I think if we think about the way a river flows, there's the game that we're looking at potentially playing at some point, an altogether different river, which is built on the theme of you never step in the same river twice. And that is, to me, an encapsulation of life and death. That is, you never meet the same people twice. You never step in the same river twice. You never step on the same soil twice. You wake up in your house every single morning and you step out on the streets of your city, but it's a different city every single morning. And that is because of death. That is because of change. And rivers are ever changing, civilizations are ever changing, people are ever changing. And if you fight that, then you are actually behaving unnaturally. Then you are anti what is the way it is supposed to be. And I think it was maybe Lex, I don't know, it was talking about the themes where like it was devotion to DeGale is one of the themes. I don't even see it as devotion to DeGale specifically. DeGale is a big figure in this, but DeGale is, to my interpretation, sending a message to everyone that basically says, this is the natural order. I'm just sending you the message, but I am speaking on behalf of literally the universe. You have to stop this nonsense. I am going to help you. I'm going to give you the tools that you need to do it. But you guys have to make this shit stop because it's not how things should work. And so ultimately, I think to myself, like, an executor who is refusing to do the thing that they're supposed to do is just as bad as an imperial count, because they are selfishly refusing to die. They are clinging to life in complete vain, because eventually they're going to have to determine, like, now is the time. And they could make that decision when it is best for everybody. Because you got to remember, to be an executor, it's voluntary. They went into the chamber, they ate the fish, they do it alone. And if you don't like the hand that you're dealt, you should have thought of that. I don't know. It's a really big decision to make. And so I think that starts to roll forward, and then it eventually culminates in Before the Flood and Winter of the Quiet Year. But like that seed, it stretches through everything.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire arc.
And parts of it also tie back to Latheris' story, and I'm not just saying this because I'm mildly obsessed with her, but she was a character that believed that like fate is what you make it. She was supposed to be sacrificed to a goddess, but she ended up becoming that goddess. She wasn't afraid of change. She just wanted to choose her own fate. And one of the things that she did afterwards is because, like, she had a connection to a god of change and transition, Nyx. And one of the first things she did after becoming a goddess was she did a sacrifice, like, gave a gift in honor to Nyx of, like, transition. Basically, she had a large amount of dead bodies to deal with and used them to fertilize a garden. Because she's like, if there ever comes a day where me being a goddess isn't a thing anymore, Wyla being a goddess isn't a thing anymore, this isn't gonna last forever. I can't count on this lasting forever. It might, but there's no guarantee. So, even if this ends, hopefully we can have a good ending. And she's the goddess of water, and vampires, most of them can't cross moving water because she doesn't like them.
She's not just the goddess of water, though. She's the goddess of another thing.
Undeath.
Yeah.
Her undeath works a little differently, though. We haven't really explored that, and she herself hasn't messed with much of that, because when Chase gave me the option of like, does she keep Alice's spy? She's like, no. So she still has the ability to create undead, but I think it's more of a Fountain of Youth situation. We haven't seen what she's done with that. Lex.
Personally, I don't. So my best friend, who I'm not going to name because he doesn't want me to say his name, his biggest fear is because he's in a mindset that a lot of people are like, you can't know what comes after nothing. Maybe it's you experience nothing forever, which is a terrifying thought. But for me, I've never had like a standing fear of death. But one of my biggest fears is based on the fact that I have a failing memory. It's only been getting worse as it's gotten older. I don't talk about it a lot anymore. But my biggest fear is eventually I have full just amnesia and I don't remember anything, which is its own kind of death. So like, this arc has been a way for me to better understand that fear he has, you know, and seeing how they relate to each other. Yeah, just this arc is very, very personal for me in that sense, and tying memory with water is really poignant in that, like, sometimes forgetting things kind of feels like drowning, you know? Just, it's frustrating. You know that you can do this, like, you know you can swim, but for some reason you're not succeeding at current.
Yeah. Got him.
Water
Got
pun.
him. Water pun. I had a point, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have the fear of being forgotten because my dad was diagnosed with early onset dementia when I was like a sophomore in college, and I'm about to turn 30. And his health has continued, and my mom has epilepsy, and every time she has one of her seizures, bad for her brain cells and bad for her memories.
Yeah.
So like that's like being forgotten, and it's not just in those contexts too. Sometimes I have the thought of like, if I just kind of like stepped out of existence, like in like a packed up move across the country kind of thing.
Well, the thing that, if there's anything we can take from this arc, is that even if something is lost in the river, someone will find it farther down along the way.
Yep.
So
Nothing is
think
ever truly forgotten.
nothing,
Fucking fish eats it.
nothing stays
The
going.
water remembers.
The water remembers.
Yep. The water remembers.
Yeah.
And it'll remind you if it has
Remember
to.
the fish of November.
That's Lex. That's
Well-
always one of my things with water, is just that remembering, you know, you need water to survive. You're consuming it. It's a part of you.
Yeah.
And then it leaves. We don't need to talk about how specifically, but it leaves you and goes on and sees a whole world around you, but it sticks around. Like, this is the same, more or less the same water. Like, I'm
Your
drinking
life-
water that could have been drank by Alexander the Great, for all I know.
Mm-hmm.
It was, by the way.
We checked.
Did he tell
Yeah,
you?
I checked.
I was there, actually.
Yeah, and the fact
He researched it while he was
every-
looking at bronze.
Also,
and
fun
Yeah.
fact, if that water was water drunk by Alexander the Great, that was also Alexander the Great's piss. Just to clarify.
Even
I
better.
said we didn't have to talk
Might have been
about
his
it.
sweat. We don't
Yeah.
know that to be for sure.
Or it
You're
got
right.
changed
Brie,
into
what were you-
blood.
What were you saying, Brie? Brie, you were gearing
I
up to say
lost
something.
part of it. I lost part of it, but I've had the phrase in my head from a drop of water, a man can infer an ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Oh, even if you're gone, your life, the ripple from where you lived is still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
The ripples you leave behind are
Well-
still there.
Like, another thing that always sticks out in my mind is in Walden, Henry David Thoreau said like that time is just a stream that you go fishing in,
Ooh.
and makes an incredible metaphor about time being water. And I think that ties in so well to memories, that everything is in this stream, and eventually it'll come back around, but you just don't know when, because you can't predict where the stream's gonna go. And sometimes it'll come back around because there's a fish that remembers who you are, and you have knowledge that can really help somebody when they need it most, and they're waiting for the right time to pass that along.
Okay, so
May I? Oh, sorry. May I tell an incredibly personal story?
Okay, I guess so.
14 years ago, my brother died. I told you it was personal. I was 27. He had just turned 30 a few months prior. And my brother, I don't talk about him very much because he was not a great person for the majority of his life. And even in the best years of his life, which were the last like 3 or 4, he was very much an asshole. So he had sort of transitioned from an asshole that you hate to the type of asshole that you're sort of happy is on your side. You know the vibe. You know the type, right? And he died very suddenly. It was an aneurysm. And it was a giant shock to the entire family because he just sort of turned a corner. He'd struggled with a lot of things in his life, particularly his anger and addictions. So it was a big shock. We all had a lot of hopes for him, and he passed. And there was a moment when we were trying to put his funeral arrangements together where everyone was being so petty and just being like really, and all of the personal issues between several, like a blended family were coming out. This is a family that had been, both sides had divorced and remarried, right? And it was getting really nasty. And in the back of my head, I heard it. I heard a thought that basically said, well, someone needs to be the asshole in the room. Someone needs to be an asshole, or this is never going to get done. And so I did it. And I don't remember exactly what I said there was about 8 of us in the room trying to plan this thing. But I dragged their asses. And I remember I was halfway through saying what I was saying, and I was like, wow, I sound just like my fucking brother right now. And I realized, I was like, this man is not dead. When people die, they leave a hole, and we all fill in the gaps that they left behind. And every so often, when the room needs an asshole, I think of that, and I think of my brother, and I think, okay, well, I'll say it how John would say it, and it's gonna work, because it worked for him. Anyway, that was just a thought that I was having about death and people being remembered.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
That was beautiful.
So,
Hell of a cross stitch, huh?
I'm struck with like the idea of like if the show was like a game that like the water remembers would be a like and the world is dark style phrase a la 10 Candles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like after every significant moment, we just all as a collective are just like, and the water
And the water
so
remembers,
when you said that and you said game, my brain went to video games and how for like Telltale games, whenever you do something, in the top left it'd be like blank
The water
remember
remembers.
this.
And the water remembers.
And the water
Yeah,
that's really, that'd be
Yep.
so fucking cryptic.
Yeah.
That's if I
Just-
ever start making video games, too.
Lex, I feel like you're wanting to transition. I have a request. I would love to
I am, but that's like I don't have
Hey.
money to talk to.
I would love to transition to the next game, but I would love it if we could transition to the next game being Echoes of the Lost City for the sake of our guest, so that Megan can leave when she feels like she wants to.
So this was so fucking cool as someone who wasn't involved again.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I
just-
absolutely
just-
want to hear the outside perspective.
Oh
on
my
this one.
fucking god. Like because I also hadn't read the like rules of the game at all. Like I was not involved in like the planning or the pulling off of it. So I just got this like fucking incredible half censored document to read like in the like 20 minutes before we just then played our game, and that was fucking exhilarating. Like I'm obsessed with the mechanic of censoring something you've already written. It's so fucking smart. It's so fucking juicy. And I was like, I intentionally didn't uncensor anything before the session, although I don't think, Ben, you even made that cut available until after the game. I don't remember. But like, I intentionally didn't uncensor anything and went in with just the uncensored version. It was electrifying from a like someone who wasn't in that game. I can only imagine how much fucking fun it was to play that.
Yeah, Echoes seems like a really, really good game to play. I don't know which of my friends I would be willing to play that game with, aside from you guys, because you guys are game, like, we literally game all the time for whatever reason. But like, there's some games that feel like you can't just walk up to someone and be like, hey, you want to play this with me? Which, those are also often the best games. So like, I feel like I couldn't just like walk into my partner and be like, hey, do you want to do like this, like, do you want to like send letters to each other pretending?
Do you want to play an asynchronous letter writing game?
Yeah, do you want to do that, hun? Sweetie?
Just wait until you hear about the redaction mechanic.
Oh my! It was diabolical. I want to ask Megan a question that's been burning in my mind since we recorded it. Megan, did you think it was even possible to record a run through of Echoes of the Lost City?
I wrote that game not even knowing if it was completely playable.
It is.
Icon behavior.
Hey, turns out.
But I wrote it for me, which is how
you wrote it for me.
Like
You wrote it for
98%
me,
of my
actually.
games are just like, I'm writing this for me. If other people like it, that's super. Like certain games, I'm like, all right, I got to invite capitalism to the table a little bit, but then like something like Echoes. Once again, thinking a whole lot about memory in time, and was like, I had just been playing a game of, now I'm not going to remember the name, I'm going to feel really bad. Tellus?
Memory!
It's a letter writing game about people in different space stations across.
Oh.
Oh, God, that's tragic.
You gotta
Oh,
send
wow.
me the link to that.
I mean, I feel like
I'll,
the pun answer would be called Star-Crossed, but that just seems too easy.
I'll find it and let you know. But it's like it's a one. I know, like I can see the image of the front of it, but it's supposed to. But like I had picked it up at the beginning of the pandemic, and it's like supposed to be like an actual letter, right? Like you actually mail physical letters to people. So there's like a time delay, and that like is the time it takes to transmit letters in space. So I had played that, and I had been like, the idea of a letter writing game, it burrowed itself so deep into my brain. And as soon as the redaction mechanic popped into my head, I'm like, well, this is what we're doing, and I don't care how playable it is. I had my really, really good friend Nat, who edits all of my games, edit it just to make sure that it made sense for someone who's not in my brain actively. They polished a lot of rough edges off of it, which was great, but definitely didn't think it was like, I would think it'd be like something like you could play on Discord, you can play like in a blog or something like that. But the way that y'all handled the redaction mechanics and stuff like in audio form was so cool. Because I read it, like I read when you sent me the thing, I read it and I'm like, oh, this is dope. And then listening to it, I'm like, oh, this is dope.
So I had a problem when we were recording in that I personally didn't see it until we were already recording. So y'all are making references to things I had no clue about. And I was so upset when I finally did get to read it afterwards. I didn't have that context. I was so upset for myself.
I was as well. Frickin' so Emily Emily took the prompts and wrote a lot and then hit the redaction mechanic and would end up with like 2, maybe 3 sentences out of a page and a half of text. And I, as the archaeologist, had to extrapolate an entire civilization out of that. Mm-hmm. And of course, Emily always picked, I'm going to grab the first, second, and third most cryptic sentence fragments from the things that I wrote.
Tried to give you something to work with. Which was hilarious to me because, like, if you want, I can be the researcher. And it's like, no, you do the writing things. But I'm a literal historian, but okay. Have fun.
I just wanted to play a snooty academic.
Yeah, but you're better at that part.
And you nailed it.
You nailed it.
You little kiss ass.
Loved Matisse. I have done one pass, and I probably should do 2 more, of an even more heavily redacted version of Matisse's notes that's like recorded, and it like as it's being archived in the Undying Empire, so like Matisse has been erased entirely. There are a few names that have been replaced by other people. A couple of like other things, just like, but to kind of get back to that whole thing about like memory and the active, but instead of it being like, okay, the past has consumed this place, it was fun to even come in and try and make a like, okay, well, how do we degrade this further in an active sense, trying to get it completely squashed out, or wring any useful information out of it is something that I'm working on.
What if time didn't destroy these records? What if
what if assholes do
them?
Yeah. So that's like, and that'll be another. Hopefully, that'll be a patchwork eventually.
Thinking about
talking about bureaucracy destroying records reminds me of the moment in the ground itself when the administrative building was on fire. That everyone just decided, let it burn.
I just remember you being right next to the archives when you were on an archaeological expedition and then decided to pack up and move to the other side of town.
Yeah, I didn't know it was the archives, and I wanted to do another weird thing. I have a thread that I've been laying since the beginning of random ghost women who may be the same person, may not be. I'll figure out what I'm doing with that thread when I get there, but I'm giving myself things to play with.
Yeah, I have, unironically, sometimes I sit around thinking about what our merch would look like, and I definitely considered a random ghost woman shirt. I think about that one a lot.
I just love the idea of having like a letter written game of telephone, like of like this, like continuing from Echoes of Lost City, of like, all right, what did the Undying Empire actually log, and then what did the post Empire like historians try to repiece back together, like trying to like rebuild the like actual historical record from all of that.
I'm imagining a game that's like, it's called like The Propagandists, where you take a piece of source text and then you pass it through several hands, each of whom is trying to change the text to reflect their own like spin on the event. And then it lands in the hands of a historian like 200 years after the actual event who tries to figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, it's like that thing of like, in a lot of like records of battles, right?
Yeah,
exactly. How much is this like grandstanding? How much was it like, and 100,000 Romans were felled because of our mighty lord? When it's like, all right, so like we like barely pulled it out, but we did win, right? Like how much?
I
how
saw
much
him
is,
kill
like-
2 dudes, which is
Yeah.
like 100,000. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But they were really big dudes.
Yeah,
They were
don't
huge
understand
guys.
how big
As
the
a-
dudes were.
As a pitch, though, one of the prompts for this propagandist thing is tear the document that you have in half.
Yeah.
That gets passed on, along with write a short dramatization of the events that you've read. And that's what the person has is like half sheets of paper and a dramatization of the events that the person before them had written.
See, my brain's just trying to come
We're
up with
halfway
something
through
to
this
We're
game
do.
now?
Right. Yeah, we got to do this game now.
Yeah.
We do.
Well,
we do.
I- I'm trying to come up with something to do then with like comic books and the Hays Code.
Oh.
Hmm.
That would require some actual research on the relationship between comic books and the Hays Code. That is
Hey, you
probably
would
disgusting.
never. You're not going to believe this, Ben, but I've already done that in
Shocking.
college.
That does not sound anything like one of your interests.
Not at all.
Wow, who knew? It's almost like I wrote a 25 paper on Batman comics in the 1970s when I was in college.
That's amazing.
was
Also,
supposed
you
to be a
happen to
10-page
know
paper.
someone. Yeah. Also, you happen to know somebody who does their own comic book talk show.
Oh, gee, yeah, I just found that out tonight.
Yeah, who?
You didn't know that about Caitlin?
No,
Oh, I thought you knew that about Caitlin.
no.
I thought you knew
Anyway.
that. My bad.
Anyway, also, I wanted to highlight that this, if once again, bad memory. So correct me if I'm wrong. If I remember correctly, this is the first arc where, this is the first one where Emily's been with us in full from the jump. And 2, I think this is the first time we've had, because all of us have had episodes where like it's been us like one of us has been like the focal point or whatever. And I think this was the first time Emily, along with Ben, was. What was it like for you actually getting a chance to be the one in the spotlight for a thing on Game Woven?
It's kind of a mixed one because one, I absolutely adore this game. I fucking loved it. I want to play it so many times. It was great. But knowing that most of what I do is going to be redacted in an audio medium, that was rough. Especially the like Echoes of the Lost City itself, nothing but fun. Going into our quiet year afterwards, that's where it got really hard because I knew all of these things that no one else did.
Yep.
So it's just like I have these things I want to play with, but I don't know how because I don't have anyone to play off of.
Mm-hmm.
So that was actually really tough, especially with things like I want to just point to this place that would be good for the thing that you're doing, but you already moved it. And yeah.
And I did something weird with it.
It's maybe something we could have mechanized, like having a hint system. I don't know, like at a 5+.
That would require
Whenever you felt like saying
planning.
something. That would have required.
We don't do that. We just
Hey,
see what the games do.
if you saw the notes that I have for next arc, even though I'm not in charge of it, you'd be astounded.
Well, you're writing a game for that arc, so.
We don't know that yet.
Surprise.
Surprise.
Well, static.
And it's called Business Girl coming
It's
out.
called Business
Yeah.
Girl. Girl
Okay, but if
on
we're gonna put
business.
Business Girl in any arc,
New game.
Uh,
Girls on
Business Girl set in Tarsig.
I will say, as
You tell me
That
what
is-
game you need, I'll write it for you.
as terrible as we
Don't
are
say
about
that,
giving
please.
Megan more game ideas, we are equally bad about just coming up with constant patchworks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It is nonstop.
Look,
Yeah.
we like to have
Like
fun
the
here.
list
Patchworks are
is
fun.
long, massive,
Also,
and if you want to hear them, you should subscribe to our Patreon.
true.
Do it.
Support
Pair
us on
separate keys,
Patreon.
Patchwork. Patchwork. Fuck.
Give us enough money so I don't have to work at the fucking post office anymore. I'll have
Give
so
us
much time. I'll be able to
money.
make. I'll be able to make so much more stuff.
Yeah, if you give us money, we will be so annoying.
Hey, save some for the rest of us.
We'll be the
Is that a
best.
threat or a promise?
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes.
And a thank you to our guest Megan for showing up and giving us 2 lovely games to play.
And many more in
You're-
the future.
Oh,
And
and
thank you
for
for-
objectively-
sure.
Thank you for playing them.
We're gonna keep playing them.